Hey, what's up? My name is Samuel Leeds, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about serviced accommodation. Is serviced accommodation dead? Is it buzzing? Is it dead but will be buzzing? What's happening right now? Can you make money doing it? Should you make money doing it? All things serviced accommodation. If you like my videos, do me a massive favor. Just take a second to smash the like button. Also subscribe. Turn the notification bell on if you're not already, because I'm doing videos every single day and they're kind of good videos. So serviced accommodation, for anyone that doesn't know, what is serviced accommodation? It's very simply when you rent out your property, but instead of renting it out to a normal tenant on an AST contract, a short hold tenancy, you rent it out on short stays. Short stay bookings. So an example of a short stay booking would be you might rent it on Airbnb and you rent it out to guests. People might have parties in there. Maybe not, you probably don't want to do that. Or people might stay there, cottages, cottages.com, booking.com, like a hotel. So this is a short stay. You're not a tenant, you just stay there for a day, a week, maybe even a month, but you stay there for a short period of time. Now, what's the massive advantage to doing serviced accommodation? Well, the obvious massive advantage is cash flow. Because if you're renting a property out per night instead of per month, you might get £100 a night instead of £500 a month. And you can see very quickly you can generate a lot more profit because people are prepared to pay more because they're staying for a short period of time. So cash flow is much better for serviced accommodation. There's also, with serviced accommodation, there's lots of tax advantages as well. So for example, if you're buying a property to rent it out as serviced accommodation, you're going to pay commercial rates for stamp duty, which is considerably less tax. Tax reasons for serviced accommodation, you can also claim more things back. So you can claim a lot of things as tax deductible expenses that you wouldn't be able to do if it was just a regular buy-to-let. I mean, another thing is Section 24 doesn't apply for serviced accommodation, which means you can claim back your mortgage payments, whereas you can't do that unless you buy through a company when you're doing buy-to-let. So there's tax advantages, there's cash flow advantages, but is it working at the moment? That's the big question. That was the purpose of this video. Are people wanting short stays? Well, it all depends on the type of guest that your property is catering for. So there's 4 types of guests which will generally stay in serviced accommodation properties. There are tourists. Now, tourists are what most people think of when they think short-term lets. You know, they think maybe get someone that's traveling on holiday. If you're in Stoke-on-Trent, you might be thinking, okay, well, would serviced accommodation work in Stoke-on-Trent? Maybe Waterworld or Alton Towers isn't too far. If you're in Birmingham, you could be thinking of all the tourists. So that is the first type of guest. You've also got business professionals. These are people that will just need to stay somewhere overnight. Maybe they've got a business meeting, they're traveling for business, doctors, dentists, lawyers, entrepreneurs, the types of people that you might see. You know, you go to the Village Hotel. The Village Hotel is filled with people in suits and briefcases, and there's a lot of business people staying there. Maybe they've got a conference, a meeting, a one-on-one meeting. They're meeting up for a coffee for someone with a really important meeting. They need to crash at a hotel. Business people, really important. Next are contractors. Now, contractors, I'm talking about people that are going somewhere on a contract to do a job. Like a really good example would be builders. So if you've got a small team of builders, 5 or 6 builders, and they've got a job to do, but it's not near their house. So they've got to travel each day all the way, 4 hours away to go and work on a project together. They might just say, you know what, rather than traveling back and forth, this job's going to take us 2 or 3 weeks. Let's find a hotel. Let's find a house that is on serviced accommodation where we can crash there for a couple of weeks. We're a contractor. We'll sleep there and then we'll go and we'll work and it's close to our job. They're contractors. Really common, really, really, really popular and often good, really good payers. And then the last type of person is relocators. Relocators. All right, cool. Relocator, that means you're moving house. Right now, October 2020, people are moving house all the time. People are moving workplaces. They're being told to work from home. They're moving back. University students are saying, actually, I'm not really, a lot of this is all virtual, so I can move back to live, back near my family. So there's a lot of people moving house. In fact, house sales are at a record high right now. People are moving house. People are selling house. People are, so the reason people that are moving house will want to stay in your serviced apartment or your serviced accommodation property is very simple. If you're selling a house to buy another, or even if you're renting a house but you want to move in another, usually there's a little bit of a discrepancy between timing. So it might be a case of, all right, I'm handing my keys back to the landlord, or I'm selling my house on the 1st of November, and then I'm moving on the 2nd of November to my new house. But what happens is there's a delay, there's a hold up where you can't sell your house on time or something doesn't quite, it's like, oh man, but I've got this house secured. So you think, you know what? I'll move out, or the other way around, sorry. Okay, so there's a hold up here. So you think, I'll sell my house, and then I'll stay in a serviced accommodation property for a week or two while I wait for my house to complete. That's a relocation. It doesn't normally happen on the same day. Normally you might need to stay for 1 night, 2 nights, somewhere, serviced accommodation property. And these people will pay top dollar. Another great thing about relocators is they think it's going to be for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. It can end up being for months, but they're paying top whack because they don't want to stay at necessarily a hotel. They want a kitchen area, a little lounge area, so they'll pay top whack. So these are the 4 types of guests that will currently stay in your serviced accommodation property. Now, is the market dead? Is it dried up? That's the big question. Depends on your property. Tourists, right now, tourism is dead. Not just in the UK, worldwide. If you have got a property and you are marketing it and pitching it to tourists, it's not going to happen. Because what can you do right now? You can't really go anywhere. You can't travel. It's hard. It's difficult. Sure, some people are traveling. But if your property is tailored for tourists, you're going to be getting massive discounts, you know, and you're going to be half empty at best. So you're going to be really, really struggling. However, business right now is booming. People are still traveling. People are still doing business. In fact, at the moment, a lot of people, their offices are closed. So they're working out of rooms and staying and moving and meeting. So if your property is tailored to business people, it's great. And how do you tailor your property to business people? Very simply, let's say it's on Airbnb and Booking.com, rather than having pictures of Cadbury World and having pictures of the beach and pictures to try and entice tourists, instead you're gonna make sure you've got a little workspace in the room, and you're gonna tailor and market it specifically as you advertise the rooms with business people in mind. Contractors, booming, crazy, busy. Relocators, massive, because everyone's moving house. So this is why it might be strange, maybe, and listen, maybe your particular area, or maybe if you've got a beach house, a little guest house on the beach, it's going to be really quiet right now. So I'm not saying all serviced accommodation is booming, but at the moment, serviced accommodation is not dead as long as it's the right property. So what you need to do is, if you have got this type of property, you need to switch it and you need to tailor to the right people. Right now, 2020 is a very interesting year. And people say, you need to pivot, adapt. What does that mean? Well, what that looks like for the property entrepreneur is, instead of pitching your properties to tourists, right now, tourism's dead. Will it pick back up? Sure, it will at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, probably into 2021. So you need to be thinking, how can I market to these people? Right now, a lot of hotels are full. If you are about to take on a serviced accommodation property, do your research on the area. Check what the hotels are doing. A lot of hotels are full. Make sure you're marketing to the right people. But serviced accommodation right now in 2020 is not dead. It's just, it needs a little bit more pivoting, and it needs a little bit more thought. You can't just get a property and whack it on Airbnb and it'll be full and you're making loads of money. You need to really think about who your market's going to be and make sure you're only taking on the right properties in the right areas, but by no means is it dead. If you want to learn more about serviced accommodation and you want to start doing rent to serviced accommodation, or buying properties to rent them out as serviced accommodation, if you want to learn about the tax advantages, you want to learn about the areas where to do it and all the benefits of serviced accommodation to work out whether it's the right strategy for you, then you could either join me on a webinar, which is completely free, and I'll leave in the description a link to a serviced accommodation webinar below. Or if you're really serious and you're like, Samuel, I don't want to go on a webinar, I just want to come and meet you in your studio and do this and make it happen, then we do have the Property Investors Academy, which is reopened, which is training, mentoring, bespoke coaching. And if you want to talk about the academy and you want to meet me, then I'm going to leave in the description a link to our Discovery Day, which is a short day, about half a day, 4 or 5 hours with me, in my home office here at the studio with just a maximum of 10 people, where we can talk about your strategy, we can discover all the different options and work out a plan for you, and also we can talk about potential further training if that's right for you. If it's not, that's fine. So there are some options, but what I would not do is I would not give up and do nothing. I would not wait for things to get better. Things already are better. Things are very, very much okay. People are making massive money. Every single week I'm taking someone on Winners on a Wednesday, and people are becoming successful every week. The opportunities are massive. You just need to take the right action, get the right knowledge, and dream big. Dream big and take the right action, because honestly, the opportunities are out there. So I'll leave links below. Join me on a webinar at least. If you're really serious, join me at my home office here in Buckinghamshire. And please don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks so much.